Shalom. Like to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Like give double honors to our apostles and elders, great millstone. Salutations to our sister Akim, pushing this word out across the four corners of the world. Just a quick news update concerning biblical prophecies. As you can see through the spirit, we are definitely in some very exciting times, where majority of this world, including 2/3 of our people, are not spiritually observing the times that we are in. And knowing that the biblical prophecies of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai via the Holy Scriptures that he gave to the understanding to his hopeful elect, these deep secrets, these dark sayings, these parables, which are spiritual gems to have in these last days. And this is an article from zerohedge.com, and the title says, "You need guns, gold, and a getaway plan. Salente warns World War III has begun." And this was published on March the 27th, 2022. Renowned trends researcher and publisher of the Trends Journal, Gerald Salente, has long said, when all else fails, they take you to war. And that they he's referring to is these international bankers of Esau Edom. Because if you study past times wars, dealing with World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, and all these other different wars, and this upcoming war, World War III, it was all engineered and orchestrated by the tabernacle of Edom, beginning with the higher ups, these heads of Esau Edom, that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has placed upon this earth to be his rod of anger. As it says, the staff in their hand is my indignation. So he gave that power to Esau Edom, beginning with the heads of them. And it says, to say our world is failing is a profound understatement. Salente proclaims World War III has begun. And what world is he referring to? Because this is not our world, speaking as the hopeful elect of the nation Israel. And let's answer that in 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, what should be the party and son of the times, or when should be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that follow it? Verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. And we are definitely in those times where the hand of Jacob is upon the heel of Esau. As it says in the book of Revelation 11 chapter 11 verse, how the spirit of life entered into the believers of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and how we are standing upon our feet within these last days. And by us standing upon our feet proclaiming the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, great fear fell upon these other nations, especially the heads of the tabernacle of Edom. Verse 9, for Esau is the end of the world. So this age, this empire, this rulership, we are spiritually transitioning to another phase, another rulership, another sovereignty. So it says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. And that's starting with our big brother Yahushua, as it says in Isaiah the 9th chapter and 6th verse. When he comes, he's going to have his government upon his shoulder. And that's going to be along with his governing body of the hopeful elect, which are considered the Israel of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. It's going to be joint heirs along with Yahushua. So it says, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. So like I just stated, we are heading to a spiritual transition upon this world. When you have the heads of Esau Edom thinking that they're going to forge in this NWO agenda and how they're going to be 100% successful with it, but not knowing that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai are going to upset their plans. And this is Ecclesiasticus the 10th chapter and the 8th verse. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. And the only one you can think about is that it's the man of sin, the son of perdition, referring to Esau Edom. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. So it's a spiritual transition that happened amongst this earth in today's time. Going back to the title of this lesson, no one of these shall fail. And the part of that, no one of these shall fail via biblical prophecies. How we are standing upon our feet within these last days. And Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai gave us that spiritual inspiration to stand against the evildoers, the workers of iniquity. So that's that world Gerald Salente indirectly is talking about. Okay, so back to the article, it says, to say our world is failing is a profound understatement, Salente proclaims. World War III has begun. I was born 1 year after the end of World War II, and crazy people will take you to war in the blink of an eye. The war criminals are leading us into another war. And that's referring to the tabernacle of Edom, beginning with the heads of them. Salente says the reason for war usually surrounds a failing economy. This time is no different. Salente explains, I have been saying that when all else fails, they take you to war. What followed the Great Depression? War. What followed the dot-com bust? More war. That's right. George Bush ratings were way down and the NASDAQ was down 66% before 9/11. And the scriptures call Esau the violent man for a reason. And that's a part of his blessing that our forefather Isaac bestowed upon him through the spirit and power of the Heavenly Father Yahweh. And as it says in the book of Revelation, the 6th chapter, it was power given to that red horse. And what was in his hand? A great sword, which is an instrument of war in many different fashions and forms. So you're seeing through the spirit in today's time, he's implementing an economic war upon the masses of the world. And all this is going to transition into a global digital currency. And that ultimate war is going to be nuclear war. So it says, Salente goes on to point out the economy in the USA is failing. For proof, look no further than a 16% inflation destroying paychecks of Americans, especially at the gas pump. And this is the burden of Egypt. How all this pressure, this weight, this anxiety is coming upon the inhabitants of America known as Babylon the Great, or spiritual Egypt. And it's hitting these U.S. consumers in the pockets. So that's more draconian measures upon the inhabitants of America. And what you think with that vibration going on with the inhabitants of America, what type of spirit they're going to be in very soon? The love of many being waxed cold more and more. It's going to lead to more intense uproars of the people. And that's why it's stated in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, how it's one people going against another people, and it was swords within their hands. So for proof, look no further than a 16% inflation destroying paychecks of Americans, especially at the gas pump. Salente also says in the commercial real estate market NYC alone, only 35% of the office space is being rented. That means 65% is vacant, and it's the same all over the country, Salente predicts. We are headed for an economic calamity, the likes of which we have never seen in our lifetime. They are getting our minds off it with the war in Ukraine. So notice right here what he stated. We are headed for an economic calamity, the likes of which we have never seen in our lifetime. And that takes me right to the book of Daniel 12:1. And as you can see at the top, the time of the end, referring to the end times, the last days of Esau's rulership, his authority upon the world. That's why it's stated in the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 10th chapter, how the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. That's referring to Yahweh Shai, which he's going to institute a righteous new world order along with his governing body, the hopeful elect. So it says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there should be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. So these times that we are coming into with these economic woes or calamities, more biological warfare, more cruel intentions of the people, this is a major biblical prophecy that this world has never seen nor experienced before. And this thing that we call life is the movie of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And what happens when you get to the end of that movie? It be more climax. So it says, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time, and at that time thy people should be delivered, referring to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Every one that should be found written in the book, going to the book of life, referring to the Holy Scriptures. All right, so back again to the article. You know, I wrote in the magazine in the beginning of the year, we said that the sea war will wind down by late March and mid-April. Is winding down. So now, as we said in the magazine, we went from the sea war to the Ukraine war and now to World War. We are headed to World War III. Again, no one of these should fail, referring to the biblical prophecies of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. As it says in Revelation 11 chapter, the second woe has passed, and behold, the third woe coming quickly, referring to World War III. Where right now it's considered a theatric war because it's all engineered by the heads of Esau Edom, but some way, somehow, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to intensify into a physical nuclear war. And it says, there's not a peep about a ceasefire. Biden is only bragging about more weapons being sent in. Biden says we are going to defeat the Russians. We are not backing down. No one's talking about a ceasefire, and no one's talking about peace. If we don't unite for peace, we are all going to die in war. And that's where Jerusalem is going off, because according to Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, it stated, to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So we are definitely not in a time of healing, nor in the time of peace, nor in the time of love, but we are definitely in time of war. And it says, in closing, Salente is warning about some sort of event or false flag giving the banking powers a reason to shut down the banks and separating you from your money. Salente warns, I am saying to everyone listening, we are at the crucial point where one day they are going to say bomb, hacking, or whatever, and to save your lives and to save your money, we are closing down the banking system. And Joe Biden just made reference to a cyber attack just last week within his speech, and how they're going to blame it upon Russia. So with this EMP attack, which goes into electromagnetic pulse, where they're going to shut down the power grid, and that's going to be very detrimental to a society, because it's going to shut down all electronics, all power systems, all information systems, all the electricity within your homes, your businesses, transportation. So that means all banks and markets will freeze all their operations. Your credit cards will stop functioning. The ATMs will be shut down. The banking system online will be offline. So just imagine the state of panic these people are going to be in. They're going to be rushing to these banks. They're going to be rushing to these grocery stores. And the reason why they're going to do that, because they're not spiritually prepared for the times that we are in. So with all this anarchy and chaos that's going to be running rampant throughout the streets of America, that's when Esau is going to institute this order of chaos, which means order out of chaos. And it's a model where these people that's involved with Freemasonry abide by. It's like a secret code to them. Order out of chaos. So when everything is going chaotic by these people panicking due to this EMP attack, that's when the heads of Esau Edom are going to institute their so-called order. And that's by crashing this petrodollar, these Federal Reserve notes. It's going to be transitioning to a digital global currency. And that's when they're going to institute a universal basic income to the people, food rationing. So this is a part of their order that they are bringing to this chaos, aka New World Order, global transformation, great reset. And it says you won't be able to get your money out, and maybe when you do, they will devalue it. They did it before and they will do it again. And that takes me to the book of 2nd Ezra 15:49. I, referring to the Heavenly Father Yahweh, speaking through his servant Ezra through the Spirit, and he's prophesying about what will be occurring in these last days. And it says, I will send plagues upon thee. And those plagues are going into the scourges, the calamities, and the afflictions that Yahweh Ba'ashem Abshah is going to bring upon this world. And it says widowhood. We are in the beginning stages of World War III, and they will do a military draft. So these different spouses are going to be leaving their homes, and they're going to be heading over there to the so-called Middle East. And these people are not coming back, at least within this lifetime. And it says poverty. Due to this so-called pandemic, you're seeing more and more people losing their homes, and more people are being homeless. They're out in the streets of America, living in tents. Famine, going to these drastic shortages that Yahweh Ba'ashem Abshah is bringing upon this world. And it's all engineered, pursuant to the book of Isaiah, the 10th chapter. And the Most High stated, O Syrian, the rod of my anger, the staff in their hand is my indignation, and I will give him charge. So he's in charge of the food supply. And this is a part of Yahweh Ba'ashem Abshah's indignation, going into his righteous anger upon 2/3 of the nation of Israel and these other nations, that he will allow Esau Edom to starve the people out. And that's why you're seeing widespread shortages of fuel and food, and that's going to lead into mass starvation. It says sword and pestilence, and that's going into warfare and also disease warfare as well, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And this is going to, these people are not going to have that spiritual hedge upon them within these last days when all hell breaks loose, especially 2/3 of the nation of Israel. But Abaratazah, as the hopeful elect, we will be all right. Because right here at the bottom, these faithless modern Babylonians, referring to these Americans, they don't have no spiritual hope in a higher power, nor was it given to them to have so. Because right here, Jerusalem says, this time it would be much worse My plan centers around the 3 G's: guns, gold, and the getaway plan. But our hope as the hopeful elect is trusting into Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. That's why it says in the book of Romans, the 8th chapter, ye should be saved by hope. We are those prisoners of hope. Blessed is the man that hope and quietly wait for the salvation of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. That takes me to the book of Jeremiah 17:17. Be not a terror unto me, thou art my hope in the day of evil. So we as the hopeful elect, we are spiritually optimistic, and we are hoping for and expecting end. And that's by the way of deliverance, which takes me right to Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, said Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. So Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is spiritually prepping us up for that big game, which goes into Jacob's trouble. And that's why we're going through all these different adversities, all our different trials and tribulations, all of our different sufferings. It's all to build us up for this great day. As you saw what Jerusalem says, it's going to be a time really that this world never seen before. So we in the know as the hopeful elect, we are looking forward to the expected end. And that's by the way of salvation, deliverance. So just to recap through the spirit, the heads of Esau Edom are advancing into the next phase of this so-called pandemic, which is a plandemic, because it's all engineered to collapse this financial system and usher in a global digital currency. And that's going into the enterprise mentioned in the book of Job. And a part of that enterprise is total control by everyone receiving their karama. And on these different videos that's talking about this NWO agendas, people on the comment board saying, I apologize to the conspiracy theorists, because this government is making it more blatant that they're about to get ready to usher in a new world order. So a lot of these people who used to doubt back then, they're starting to see it for themselves. So no one of these should fail. And that takes me to Isaiah 34:16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord, and that's referring to the Holy Scriptures, the Holy Bible, and read. No one of these should fail. And that's why it stated in Ezekiel, the 2nd chapter, how it's a roll of a book written within and without, lamentations, mournings, and woe. And that's going right into the times that we are currently in. So no one of these should fail, meaning the biblical prophecies. And according to the book of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, it says how the prophecies of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua are faithful and true. And it says none should want her mate, meaning no other book can compare to the Holy Bible. And what makes the Bible stand out from amongst these other books? Prophecies. And it says, for my mouth it had commanded, and his spirit it had gathered them. And it's only gathering the hopeful elect. Linking up again with Revelation 11 chapter 11 verse, how the spirit of life entered into them, and how we are standing upon our feet within these last days throughout the four corners of the world, and that's only by the word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. So these are the two major biblical prophecies that we are waiting upon. This financial collapse of the American dollar is going to transition into a digital currency, and that's by the way of the MOTB. And we are already in the beginning stages of World War III. And the Heavenly Father Yahweh is going to speed things up more and more so he can give that green light to his only begotten son Yahweh Shai to take down this so-called white man along with his unrighteous decrees. And he's going to institute his righteous new world order. So I brought this out. You all was edified with that. You all stay strong. Keep pushing forward. Shalom.